Please welcome the stars of Now You See Me, Isla Fisher and Jesse Eisenberg.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. Hi. Nice
Good to see you.
Hi.
Jesse.
Hi.
Good to see you, sir.
Hi.
Welcome. So, guys, how would you describe Now You See Me to someone who maybe hasn't just seen the trailer or hasn't heard
As
of
everyone
the film?
just did.
They just have, but pretend they haven't.
I mean, it's a heist movie. It's an action thriller. It's a little Ocean's 11 meets The Prestige, with the illusion being the crime that we're committing. These illusions.
Mm-hmm. And Jesse, you were first on board, weren't you, as an actor?
Yeah.
For this movie? How did the director's Louis Leterrier? How did he get you on board? What was his pitch to you?
He actually gave me these obscure French movies. He's French, and he said he wants the acting in this movie to be like these movies. And I was skeptical because when I read the script, it seemed like this kind of very, plot-driven, big, broad in scope movie. And he said, I want to get great actors to do this, and I want the acting to be treated in the way that the acting was treated in these obscure French movies. And
Gerard Depardieu was not available.
he was in Belgium, not paying taxes. And so, and he followed through on both of those things. He followed through in getting an amazing group of people, and he also followed through on treating the actors with respect. On a movie like this, the acting can get lost because the plot is so interesting, and the acting, could be seen as secondary. But that just wasn't the case here. We were given a lot of time to try different things. He did the most amazing thing, which I've never seen done on a movie, which is film one actor, film the other actor doing the same, conversation, and then learn something from that second actor, and then go back to redo what the first actor has done based on what the second actor's done. Things like that just never happen, especially on an independent movie that is, would be considered more of a character-driven movie. You just don't see that because there's no time.
Isla, is that the first time that had happened for you as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And just how comfortable he was with us improvising and coming up with different ideas. And, the way he shot the movie, the camera was moving at all times. It was sometimes on a wire, it was sometimes on a crane, but it was always transient. And so it was a kind of liberating experience because we got so many takes due to the fact that he was moving the camera around that we got to try a million different things. And we got very comfortable being on stage at the end, despite us both not being naturally that comfortable being on stage.
Oh, really? Did it take a while to get over that? Because there's parts of the movie where you actually are on stage in front of how many people? 1,000 people? 2,000 people?
Yeah, half of those people were just inflated torsos.
Yeah, half of them were stuffed dummies.
Right.
Okay. We'll say 500, yeah. But still, there's some people
there were some extras peppered amongst the torsos.
Yeah, I mean, Isla and I play like these very confident magicians, and I think both of us have like a little, stage fright in general. So, but I don't know, I think, at least for me, and I think Isla too, they were like, we just something switched on in us, and, when you get into a character that's really confident performing on stage, it just, you trick yourself into feeling that confidence, and then you feel it for real.
Yeah.
Did you take tips from real magicians in preparation for this? I know David Copperfield was involved. I believe a guy called David Kwong. Is that correct, Jesse?
Yeah, David Kwong. He was like the magic consultant on this movie and our magic teacher, and he was great and available to us for like a month before the movie, 24 hours a day. And also kind of was instrumental in coming up with some of the illusions that are in the movie.
And also David Copperfield, I think it was his idea, the bubble trick, which I know you guys haven't seen the movie yet, but there's a phenomenal magic trick that is one of the few magic tricks that's actually CGI as opposed to a trick you can do. But the technology is being developed, and it will be a magic trick that will be able to be done soon. But that was definitely David Copperfield's, came from his imagination. And I studied a lady magician, American magician called Dorothy Dietrich, who was the first American lady magician to catch a bullet between her teeth. Something I did not practice at home before we shot the movie, despite probably a lot of people wanting me to.
Oh, come on. So let's talk about your characters. You play Henley.
I play Henley. She's an escapologist. So, her role in the Four Horsemen is to, get them out of tricky situations. And as you can see in the trailer or the teaser that you just showed, I'm in a tank at one point, chained underwater, which of course is not a dream come true for any actress. And I actually ran out of oxygen when we were shooting that. My chain got stuck, and I thought I was going to die in a swimming suit, bloated behind glass. So that was pretty awful.
Yikes! Did you have a signal to people to let them know that you were running out of air?
No, I didn't have
No,
a
just
signal.
banging. Okay.
No, that's how it went wrong.
Oh Lord. Okay. So how come you're still with us? Thankfully, me.
I doggy paddled down to the bottom and set myself free. But yeah. So in the end, it all turned out. I didn't know I could have a stunt person until the very end of the shoot.
Oh, by the way,
Again.
yeah, you can do that. And Jesse, you were probably in less danger as J. Daniel Atlas. But
Right, I'm a
about
sleight
him?
of hand magician,
Yeah.
so the biggest danger is like a paper cut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you suffer
You
many
got a
paper
lot of
cuts?
Which I
those.
got several. Yes, yes, in weird places.
Who is Atlas?
Oh, Atlas is like the greatest sleight of hand magician in the world. He's like the kind of guy that at 5 years old realized he didn't want to have a normal life, so he just stayed in his bedroom and practiced magic. And now he has like, kind of developed the attitude of somebody who thinks they're the best at something. So he's a great magician and, I guess a bit of an arrogant guy.
Mm-hmm. And did it take a long time to research and do the magic tricks? I know you're probably not ready to be admitted to the magic circle after a few months of research, but can you do tricks? Can you do?
I could definitely do a kids party of 5 and under.
Okay.
And I feel like Jesse could do
Right.
10 and under.
Maybe
Well,
10
5
and
years
under.
and under, or 5 kids and under?
Sorry,
It's
5
very-
years and under.
Very important to
Anyone
establish that.
older than that will see through my...
Right, a discerning crowd would know.
yeah, straight away.
Yeah.
And Jesse, you're 10 and under. That's interesting.
Yeah, he's got some
Yeah.
skills.
You're
I could do a 15-second magic show with all the magic that I know. Yeah.
But it would be impressive. Those 15 seconds
Right.
would be magic.
Really fun.
We have a clip from the movie now. Isla, I'm afraid this is the clip in which you nearly drowned.
Oh,
So,
enjoy.
yeah,
enjoy
enjoy
my
that.
peril and fear, my near demise.
Roll the clip. Well.
I mean, when I was in that tank, I just kept thinking, why would Tom Cruise agree to do his own stunts?
And that guy with the axe, what was he doing exactly? He was like smashing into glass and it
Yeah,
just
he
fell out
was
of his
actually
hands.
a great actor, that guy. He was
Okay.
really good. The piranhas aren't real, although they did try to get real piranhas, didn't they?
Is that when you said,
Yeah.
absolutely not, I'm not doing that?
No, they
No,
got real piranhas.
They got real
They
piranhas.
actually had them
They ordered a
backstage.
tank of piranhas from Brazil.
But
and
they
then-
were undersized.
They were undersized piranhas, so they
And
had to
so-
put computer-generated piranhas.
Yeah, they CGI'd the piranhas in the end, thankfully. Otherwise, I would have had piranha bites adding to my
Yeah.
worst ever experience.
And all you would have had is just still the paper cuts in the weird places.
Yeah.
right, which
Yeah.
look like piranha bites.
Yeah. So that was Henley's introduction in the movie.
Yes.
And there's a lovely montage at the beginning in which we meet all the members of the Four Horsemen. Then the film jumps forward a year later, and the Four Horsemen have come together
Right.
and are now a group. And Jesse, being first on the movie, you got to see the other actors come on. It's a fantastic cast. There's Woody Harrelson, Dave Franco, Mark Ruffalo, people like that. But I believe you were actually instrumental in Woody Harrelson signing on. Is that true? You gave him the script.
Yeah. I mean, I've known Woody Harrelson for a while, and we wanted to do something together, and this presented a great opportunity because it meant we would get to work together, but in a different dynamic from the previous movie that we had done. So it's fun to work with the same people, but it's less fun to work with them in the exact same dynamic. So in this movie, we play kind of like rival magicians who feel competitive with each other because we both feel like we're the best in our respective fields. I'm a sleight of hand guy, and he's like a mentalist. So it gave us an opportunity to work together again, and he's really funny and works very hard and comes up with a million variations of a joke and tries all of them out. And he's
The
just
two of them are so talented and funny together. It's like watching Laurel and Hardy or something. They're just they're perfect. We would sometimes just watch and laugh when they would riff. It was very they're very talented.
You mentioned before lots of improvisation, but this is a very plot-driven script. So how much freedom did you have to improvise? Clearly you couldn't touch anything that changes the plot, but did Louis give you the freedom to play with the lines and play with what your characters did?
Yeah, I mean, we worked out, before shooting, we worked out what parts of the script were malleable and what parts weren't. So, there were a lot of scenes that what we did, within the kind of small meat of it, wouldn't affect the plot in any kind of substantive way. So within that, we would be able to improvise and, kind of come up with a very complicated backstory. Like for our characters, we had a very kind of complicated history where she was my assistant and she had a crush on me, and then she became very successful, and then I felt threatened by her success. And we were able to improvise within that kind of very complicated framework of this,
because
plot.
we didn't want to step on the fact the Horsemen are this mysterious, kind of elusive, enigmatic group that are, we don't know if they're they're morally ambiguous, and so we didn't want to add too much character, but we wanted to add enough spice that you got some comedy in there too.
So do you work a lot on backstory? For example, is Henley and Atlas, are they the characters' real names, or are they there for a bit of show, a bit of artifice?
Both of them. Henley is not Henley's real name either;
Okay.
it's her last name.
Oh, okay, interesting. And Atlas?
Yeah, he's Jewish. That's his last name. No. They changed it to Ellis Island. No, he's also created this persona. He's like, he's created a magic persona like David Copperfield, which is a Dickens novel.
It's a movie, as we mentioned, it's very twisty, very turny. I imagine you have to see this movie 2 or 3 times to catch every single
at least 2 or 3.
Oh, 5
you
or
recommend
6.
5 or 6, maybe 10 compulsory.
On the same opening day, if you can.
Was it the same when you were reading the script? When you get to the end and the twists reveal themselves, do you have to go back and reread it just to make sure that everything makes sense? Or
I was a little confused even during the shooting occasionally as to how we were able to pull off some of the, because our characters, the horsemen, we're robbing banks and then we're giving the money back to the audience, but we're doing it through these illusions. And sometimes I was I was a little behind the...
It's the kind of movie that, like, when you're reading, you have to read slowly, but when you're watching, it makes sense because, it's a visual kind of movie. Mm-hmm. It's not like, a dialogue-driven movie or something where it's very easy to read and will appear in a similar way. It's a very visual movie. The director is a really visual director who would shoot scenes like from multiple angles so that in the editing room he could choose how much to reveal and how much to hide because there's all these twists in the movies. So he shot it in multiple ways to have the opportunity in the editing room to be able to kind of, reveal only what he wanted to.
I spoke to Louis a couple of months ago as well, and he said that you went back and did a couple of reshoots just to make sure that things were smoothed out plot-wise. Did you go back for those yourself?
Yeah, they rewrote the whole ending. Yeah, while we were shooting.
Ending, yeah.
So it was no wonder that, they rewrote everything.
I mean, that's not atypical, though, of a movie like this, where there's so many little plot details you end up reshooting them. That happens all the time.
Yeah.
They ended up not using 90% of what we reshot or something like that. So, it was the kind of thing, like in a movie like this, you want to make sure it's perfectly clear and constantly interesting. And, for a movie like this with a complicated plot, sometimes you shoot scenes that don't wind up in the movie.
And how much did other things change? I read an interview with Mark Ruffalo, for example, where he says that the Four Horsemen initially were less altruistic. You're kind of Robin Hoods in this movie, but initially in the first draft you were robbing essentially for yourselves, and then the movie changed and it becomes more of a sort of 99% pro 99% movie. Did that change, and how much input did you have into any plot changes?
Well, we actually did have some input. I remember, I felt uncomfortable sometimes. It was a little on the nose, the writing about, for example, they had a whole bit where we were giving money back to people in New Orleans whose homes were missing, but they were saying specifically that it was Hurricane Katrina, and it just felt...
It felt sanctimonious because it's a fictional movie, and we're not actually giving money back, so it seemed odd to reference a real disaster there. But I think, when we were shooting this movie, and we filmed it in New Orleans, which has been ravaged by several different disasters, and we would be raining like fake money on these people and saying, this is, we are giving this to you because you've lost your homes. And you could see, even though they knew it was fake and we know it's fake, there was still a real intense kind of like anger there and joy in receiving the money and everything. So you realize how real those feelings are.
Did you get a sense filming there as well that the city's beginning to get back on its feet? Was that something that you felt?
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. Part of that is due to the movies. There were like 15 movies shooting there. They're all out now. So any movie you go to in the theaters right now
was shot in New Orleans.
Looks exactly the same.
Let's take a look now at another clip. This is the first time the Four Horsemen rob a bank. It's a very tricksy sequence. Look out for French Robert Downey Jr. Let's have a look. Can you talk about filming that scene? I mean, in terms of the stagecraft and being taught by real magicians to get over this stage fight that you were talking about, how did that exactly work?
I guess you don't see the shots in the edit that you just saw, but the scene was filmed primarily like with a camera on a cable, and it was like circling the stage and going through us. The first shot, I think, in the scene is like a several minute long shot, which sounds short but is long in a movie, and like tracks all around us, and we're performing, and then it ends up on a close up of Morgan Freeman who's sitting in the audience, right?
Yeah. Morgan Freeman, yep.
Yeah, it is Morgan Freeman. So it was like complicated to shoot these scenes, but also fun because you get to like perform like a full length show. As opposed to kind of just shooting it piecemeal.
And it's exciting because at one point the money that you see there is not CGI. It rained down on us from the ceiling in huge amounts. Which was just phenomenal. I mean, the scale of this movie, even though we didn't make it for that much money, is incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very slick outfit, the Four Horsemen. They're a very slick team. How much time did you guys have together to practice and become that slick team? I know you're obviously not doing real shows, but...
we filmed these the shows that we perform in the movie. We filmed them over the course of like weeks. It took so long to film these shows that I guess in a way like practiced on camera almost because there were so many different angles. So by the time we were doing it fully, we felt like we had done it for days.
Okay. Actors can get quite competitive, I've heard. So who's best at magic between the four of you?
Dave Franco's amazing.
He can cut a banana in half with a card. He could make you a fruit salad right now.
Really?
I mean, he could throw a card, and you could be holding a banana, and he
chops
could
it in
cut the
half.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, he had the dexterity very quickly. Jesse's brilliant too, and so was Woody Harrelson. He was actually he kept reading everyone's minds. He's a mentalist in the movie, and so. At the beginning, it was super annoying because he's, hey, Isla, think of a number between 1 and 10. I'd be like, Woody, please, no more. Yeah. And then, and actually, Mark Ruffalo got him really well for a practical joke. He pretended that Woody believed he'd hypnotized Mark into thinking that everything was the color blue. And I guess Mark was just pretending. So we had a few jokes. I would say I was the weakest magician of them all, just because... I don't have the stamina to continue trying something. Like, I tried with the ping pong balls, I tried with the cards, and then I got super frustrated. Oh, no. And I gave up. But I did learn to hold my breath for 2.5, 3 minutes for the tank stuff. So that was my... I worked on that for months and months. So, yeah.
So have you kept it up?
Holding my breath?
Yeah.
I'm doing it right now.
Okay, let's go. Timer. Jesse, have you kept it up?
I learned some tricks that, like, I retain the muscle memory. But no, I mean, like, after the movie ended, I went and did something else. It's the kind of strange part of this job is that you immerse yourself in something so specific for a concentrated period of time and then leave and do something else that doesn't involve that weird skill that you developed and never have a chance to do it again.
So until the sequel.
Until the sequel, please God.
Sequel. Absolutely. What's the fascination with magic? Because I'm sure most people here would love to see magicians all the time. But, what is it about magic for you guys?
I just think we live in a very uncertain, crazy world. So to believe in something, an overriding force that could equalize things is a very alluring concept spiritually.
Yeah.
And Jesse?
It's like Santa Claus, but it's like for adults, it's like you want to believe in something not real, and it's fun to believe in that. It's interesting. Like when I was practicing magic on set, I would perform for the crew, and after I would do a trick, I would inevitably tell them how I did it because I felt too strange keeping a secret from them, and I realized very quickly that people wanted to be deceived. That there's something fun in not knowing about it. Yeah. So I stopped telling people.
Yeah, it's nice to have a mystery in life, to have something that you can't solve that feels greater than you. It's a nice notion.
Yeah. That's why we have calculus.
Yeah, that really is. Less magical and more.
Yeah. We've one more clip from the film. This is where we meet Mark Ruffalo's character, who's an FBI agent investigating the Four Horsemen. Let's take a look. Jesse, is that your motto through life? Always be the smartest guy in the room?
It's so weird. I had it tattooed on my body like 5 years ago. I read the script, and it literally, unrelated, said that in the script. Yeah.
Serendipity. It's lovely. Yeah. Let's take some questions from you guys now for Isla and Jesse. If you got your hands up, you got a couple of roving microphones going around. There we go. There's a lady right here in the second row.
What was the biggest lesson that you both learned from this movie, as actors or as people?
I'm a fraidy cat in real life, so I'm nervous about everything. And so for me, I think I've learned to be, braver. I'd like to think, I think that's the part of Henley that I wanted to have rub off on me. So maybe it's wishful thinking, but.
I guess I learned that to be really great at anything requires amazing discipline. Like the magicians who worked on this movie, told me about how they have. Practice their skills, and it's like the kind of thing they practice for decades, 8 hours a day, every day of their lives. And so it's like any other thing, if you want to get really good at it, you have to practice it so many times.
10,000 hours or something, right?
Wow. Gee, yeah.
And it's not just the knowledge of knowing how a trick is done, it's like the practicing of it every day, the ritualistic nature of working on it that makes you really great at it.
Okay, there's a gentleman over here, I believe. Yeah, thank you.
Hi. This question is to Jesse. In most of your movies, you speak very fast in your dialogues. Why is it that? Why is it so?
Why?
Yo, why do you speak so fast?
I don't know. I have a short attention span, so when I watch a movie, I don't know. I like it to be over as soon as possible.
And there's a gentleman here right at the very, very back. If you can put your hand up, there we go. Thank you.
You said you learned a few magic tricks that might impress 10-year-olds. I don't see any 10-year-olds here, but I'd still quite like to see a trick if you're willing to perform one.
Oh, we didn't bring our card. Did you bring yours?
I actually brought a tank, Isla.
Great.
I imagine you don't walk around with cards on you just in case, do you?
Never.
No, never. There you go.
Sorry,
To stop
we
questions
should
like
have
that.
done that. That's a great idea.
Imagine that they did it and it blew your mind. There's someone over here with the hand up. Thank you.
Isla, is it difficult to maintain? To speak English like an American, like not British?
Oh, well, I'm actually Australian, and there's not many jobs for Australians. So I think just from a young age, most Australians were really indoctrinated with American culture. We watch, we grew up on the Brady Bunch and the Cosby Show, and so I think most Australians by like age 8 can do a flawless American accent.
Do you start to break it down though then into regions and suburbs?
Yeah,
and
you have
districts?
to. When you get a gig, like I just worked on The Great Gatsby, and obviously it's in the 1920s, and she's from Queens, and so every single job you have a different accent.
Okay. Yes, please, gentleman here, and then we'll go across to
And
you.
then she was too.
I have a question for Jessie, and because you've done a lot of films, so I want to ask which actors you want to work together again.
Oh, well, we had a really good time with this movie, and it's the kind of movie that could lend itself to a sequel because there are all these mythic elements in the movie. We are in a team of magicians called the Four Horsemen, and then there's this secret magic organization called the Eye, and so there's all these things that are absurd in the real world but make sense in the movie, and it's the kind of thing that could be a sequel, so that would be great, and everybody in the movie was really wonderful. It would be great to work with them again.
Oh.
Has there been talk of that so far? Because the movie's just about to hit 100 million in the States. That's usually sequel territory.
They have spoken about it. Bobby did, at least, one of the producers. He said, he said it's just going to focus mainly on my character. Yeah. It's going to be a real tour de force for Henley.
Yeah.
I'm going to be in a tank in the entire movie, and then you're like an extra. You're just going to pop up.
And I'm gonna talk real slow just to appease this guy.
Let's go to this gentleman here in the front row, and then all the way back. Over here?
Yeah,
Are we over here? Okay, I've lost track. Anarchy.
Hi.
Okay.
So what upcoming projects do each of you have in the future planned?
You're an American? Where are you from?
I'm from Ohio, studying abroad.
You're a real
here.
American.
Yeah.
Wow.
I have a movie with Jennifer Aniston and Tim Robbins. It's an untitled. Elmer Leonard I don't know what it's based on the guy that wrote The Big Lebowski. I mean, he wrote The Big Lebowski and he wrote Jackie Brown and he wrote this next project that I've already shot. So that's coming out.
And I just did a play in New York, and I'm about to gearing up to do it again.
But he wrote the play, and he's absolutely a brilliant playwright. He got amazing reviews, and
yeah. Oh, thanks.
He writes really fast.
Absolutely. Also, Jesse, you've got a film with Richard Ayoade coming out called The Double, which is interesting because Michael Caine, who you co-starred with in this movie, is executive producer on that movie.
There was a production meeting when everybody went around the room saying what they do. Said, "Hi, I'm Jim. I do props." And it got to Michael Caine, and he said, "Michael Caine, executive producer," in his accent, which I don't want to do. He's the executive producer of the movie. I think it was maybe his first producing job or something. I don't know.
What was he like as a producer?
Hands off. No. He's great. I mean, he was on set a little bit, and he was actually incredibly. What is the word? Involved for a producer. He watched all the dailies, which is all the footage you shoot. It's very rare that a producer would watch every take, and he watched every take and gave notes on every take. Because I think maybe because it was his first producing job, he was really involved. Very sweet. But I mean, hands off in terms of kind of asking the director to do something to appease him. The director is this incredible guy, Richard Ayoade. He made Submarine. He's an English guy, and he's a real auteur, so no one who worked as a producer on the movie manipulated him in any way.
Okay. Wow, first-time producer at the age of 81. That's not bad at all. Yes, please, here in the front row, and then we'll go all the way back to the last row. Thank you.
Hi guys, thank you so much for joining us today. I guess my question, Jesse, I know you mentioned before you're not particularly keen on revisiting characters, but you've been having a lot of fun with Woody on this film.
Yeah.
Zombieland, of course, they've recently tried to sort of revamp that as a TV show. But
Right.
do you think you'd have any interest in a sequel for that? And
Yeah, we wanted to do. Oh, sorry. Yes. Yeah.
And also for us, I think a lot of Arrested Development fans would love to know when and if we're going to see a resolution to your careful juggling of Michael Cera and Jason Bateman.
And don't forget that I also made out with Will Arnett's character too.
Who didn't you make out with on that?
They did not tell me when I took the gig exactly how much whoring my character would do.
It was probably understood.
Cut that out.
Yeah, we wanted to do a sequel to Zombieland, and then they instead made it a TV series. And then somebody told me the TV series was canceled, so maybe it will be happen again. Although it seems like, you know, you wouldn't want to do a sequel after a series. That movie was originally written as a TV series, so it made sense that they wanted to turn it into a TV show. But they should have made a sequel, I think.
Yeah, it's such a good movie.
And any word on Arrested Development season 5 or the movie or?
Netflix don't reveal, I guess. They won't reveal the numbers of how many people watch it. Allegedly, it was a huge success. That's what it's reported to be. So I imagine, and when we shot it all, Mitch was saying, this is what we're going to do in the movie. This is how your character is going to be resolved, which obviously I can't reveal. But yeah, I would love to make the movie of that. I had such a great time on that show.
There are still members of the Bluth family that you haven't kissed yet. So
not many.
Dwindling number. The very last question is going to come from this lady here in the very back row.
I saw it last week. It's very good. I was just wondering what Morgan Freeman and Michael Caine were like to work on set with so many young actors around. That's all.
Really, very comedically humble almost. Like we were joking around with Michael Caine about his knighthood status.
Yeah.
And then he was making fun of himself. Very, very sweet. And Morgan Freeman too, who's not a knight, but is whatever the American version is. Very almost annoyingly humble. Like you'd almost want them to be, arrogant or something, so that you can have the full experience of being with somebody that amazing. But very sweet.
Yeah. I concur.
And on that note, that's a good point at which to end. Thanks so much for coming. Thanks for your questions. Thanks most of all to Isla Fisher and Jesse Eisenberg.